Homelessness. I'm standing here before you as an advocate, as somebody who has lived a very hard life trying to make himself better in a situation of being very unfortunate. Now I want to disprove what everyone says about how easy it is to get off the street if they try. People who end up homeless are people without a safety net. That's it. They may have no family for tons of reasons other than insubordination. Their family and friends may not be able to support themselves. Some of us start out homeless as youth for being gay, coming from abusive families, or in and out of foster care. Some people end up homeless because they're living in a place and the property owner sells their home with very little notice. Someone homeless might have just lost their loved one and don't know how to support themselves, or they never recovered from a natural disaster or an incident or accident or illness that has prevented them from working and keeping their head above water. For people that come from the street, all that means is that there was no safety net. Don't assume anything else. People do not want to be homeless. Whether you are retired, widowed, have no insurance, just finished a degree, or just have a household income less than enough to survive, you are at risk of homelessness if you do not have a safety net. Read the facts. I have a lot to say. Based on my life, based on what I've learned, based on where I am today. Let's talk about housing first and foremost. Housing markets have increased by 300 to 500% in the last 5 years. 5 years in some of the cities across Canada and Ontario. Rent in most places have increased by at least 200% since I started renting 18 years ago. Wages for middle class and low class income have increased by about 60%. In the last 18 years, there was a 54% increase. That's 3% a year for minimum wage. A position today that I work for, making $24 an hour, did not receive a 54% increase in the last 18 years, and it was not $15.58 in the year 2000. Front-end employees do not make more. At the same time, some CEOs make $30,000 to $50,000 a month before taxes. At the same company, an employee makes that in a year. In the same company, someone makes 24 times of a front-end employee. The economy needs to balance. Wages should adapt to the housing market, or the housing market should adapt to wages. The fact that there's been an increase of such amount in housing without something to compensate that is going to force people into difficult situations. I am not the only one struggling. I have been struggling my entire life to not struggle, and it is not my fault. You cannot blame me. You cannot say, go reach for the stars, get a university degree, and you won't struggle anymore. It does not matter if the costs of goods remain low. The upper class is a minority. The upper class are the ones with disposable income, and the upper class are the ones that can afford anything. They are the minority of this country. Please tell me, is it successful for businesses to restrict purchasing power for the majority by paying them less? No, it does not. You will not profit if people cannot afford to buy things, if people cannot afford to live, if people spend over 50 to 70% on their housing with their income. People will not purchase things. You will not profit. The only people that you have been profiting off is by not paying your employees more money. Let's give an example of Ontario Works. When I was 17, I received $520 a month. Today I'm 33. Today, a single person on welfare receives $600 a month. In the last 14 years, this is an $80 per month raise. This works out to an extra $2.63 a day to live. That increase has been for 14 years. Let's talk about how to get away from that. People say, oh, if you're on welfare, you can go back to school. You can get a better job. So let's talk about student funding. OSAP still believes that a $17,000 to $20,000 income per year before taxes and deductions is middle class. They deny grants for people from low-income families because budgets are outdated. Both of my parents are on the system. Both of them are disabled. One is schizophrenic. And I was still considered someone that came from a middle-class family. All of my bills would default. All of my bills would default by the beginning of the year in school. I would start working in the summer 2 jobs. They expected me to save that money. I could not save that money. I was working 2 jobs to catch up the 4 months of bills that I was not able to pay at all. By August, after working for 4 months, I still wasn't caught up. And then I would owe the government money because they assumed that I made too much that year, even though none of my expenses were covered. There is also minimal funding for Aboriginals in Ontario. The government of Canada does not help how they say they do, even with the billions and billions of dollars of interest that they make from student loans. My student loan right now is $46,000 at 6% over 7 years. No one with $35,000 net income per year is able to afford that ever. I will pay about $12,000 of interest by the time this is done. Let's talk about how much money they're making. How much money are they making from the student loans? Well, there are 1.7 million Canadian students in universities right now. Let's say 20% of all those students go through government loans to take out $46,000 for 5 years of school, 4 years of school, and then pay that back in 7 years at 6%. 20% of those students is around $340,000. Over the course of their repayment, the government will have made $4 billion. There is a rule in borrowing. If you take out more than $20,000 to $30,000 in credit, then you lock it into your mortgage or get a line of credit. Or, people with money will be able to absorb this in one way or another with their capacity or their assets and be able to negotiate lower interest rates. Right now, we don't have those options. I'm also disabled. I'm Métis. I have survived child abuse. I have survived sexual abuse. I have survived bullying. I have survived being disowned by my family for being gay. And I'm not very well understood in the community because of my autism and my coping mechanisms that I have today. We live in a society that believes people are born monsters. And then we reinforce it with our power in the media, and bullying, and all of these collective opinions that really don't know very much. The first thing that comes to people's mind regarding autism is refrigerator moms, Columbine, lack of empathy, and Rain Man. And right now, people are finally starting to come to terms with what it is to be autistic, but it's only been in the last few years, and the general public doesn't know. I am an advocate today, not only for people with autism, but for people from the street, for people who try to make their lives better. I'm an advocate for people who are suffering with their student loans right now, for people who are suffering from healthcare issues because they cannot find a doctor. The lack of doctors is not the problem to talk about healthcare. It is the lack of policies to protect the patient. What is wrong with the access to healthcare? A lot. When I go to my interviews to be accepted as a patient, I dress well. I go in like it's a job. I'm afraid to be declined. I have been across multiple cities in Ontario, and it has been like this for the last 10 years. When they learn about my mental illnesses or my past, 3 out of 3 doctors that I've been to since my time in Ottawa in the last year have shown me discomfort taking me on, and it shouldn't be like this. It should be the other way around. I should be interviewing my doctor to see if they are right for me. And if anything, they should not be allowed to deny me access to basic health care. A lot of other issues are in my concern. Medical benefits and health policies are for one. Doctors, health insurance, and healthcare policies are responsible for this opioid crisis right now. We should not force people on drugs that cause worse side effects because they are free, while better options are up to $300 bi-weekly. Medical marijuana may make neurotypicals slow down to appear that they are without motivation or cannot function. But for someone with autism, it brings me down to where a neurotypical is sober. I have taken long breaks from medical marijuana due to affordability, and the only thing that happens is greater anxiety, reduced appetites, insomnia, vivid nightmares, or reduced functionality. The pharmaceuticals covered on benefits are toxic, dangerous, and they've caused me more problems than they're worth. The fact that the best coverage right now for medical marijuana in Canada is for people with terminal illnesses, and only a fraction of those costs are covered, this is not enough. You need to stop demonizing beneficial medicine in lieu of toxic ones. I'm not too sure what will come of this. I'm very angry. I have a lot to say. There are a lot of things wrong with this system, and not a lot of people are willing to learn about it or to make the connections that are so logically in front of you. It bothers me. It is not hard to make the connection between the increase in housing costs and the lack of increase in all wages outside of CEO positions. Okay? The fact that we are discriminating people in my situation is unfair. People who say that it was my fault that I'm in this situation is not okay. People who assume that when they see someone on the street, if only they tried, they could get off of it, you're lying to yourself. Read the facts. It's wrong of you to assume that. For someone like me, I have tried more than anyone should ever to make their life better, and I'm still going to be homeless by Christmas this year while working at a global design firm. It's not right. I have had more than one disadvantage than most people. More. And I'm still fighting. And I care more about the next person that's in my shoes than I do about myself. If I can just make a ripple in the system that is big enough so that someone like me can feel hopeful and that it's possible to change their life, then my job is done. And I'll know that what happened to me was for a reason.
Thank you.